A knight is after a man who is attempting to flee through the woodland. The man vanishes as the knight is about to strike him with his sword. Soon after, the man is found in the midst of the desert, barely alive, and only able to utter the word Castleguard. Shortly after being brought to the hospital, he passes away. One of the doctors notices a pendant with the ITC Corp. label hanging around his neck. Numerous internal organs, veins, and bones can be shown to be misaligned for an unidentified reason in the X-ray images. Soon later, an employee of ITC Corp appears and positively identifies the deceased as Vincent Taub. He picks up his body, and the business chooses to hide what happened. Archaeologist Professor Edward Johnston and his students Kate Erickson, Josh Stern, Francois Dontel, and Andre Marek have been sponsored by the ITC Corps to excavate the ruins of the village of Castleguard in France near La Roque Castle. The village was burned in 1357 during the 100 Years' War as part of a massive battle. The hanging of Lady Claire, the sister of Arnaud de Servolles, inspired the French to victory. Professor Johnston's son, Chris, is more infatuated with Kate than digging, until Marek shows him a sarcophagus of a French knight with a lopped ear, in an unusual position, holding hands with his lady beside for eternity. Professor Johnston flies to the ITC's headquarters in New Mexico after suspecting confabulation. But when several days pass without any communication, the team discovers a professor's fallen bifocal lens, as well as a 600-year-old paper pleading for assistance. For his father, Chris phones ITC, and they promise to explain everything in New Mexico. Time travel is described by ITC Vice President Stephen Kramer, Matt Craven, and President Robert Doniger, David Thewlis, using a teleportation device that sends users to Castleguard in 1357. Professor Johnston must be saved from his history. Chris, Kate, and Andre persuade Francois to accompany them since he is the sole native French speaker. Security is provided by 3 Marines, but the chief is on a covert mission to murder someone. They put on the proper attire and use unique 6-hour-long markers that, when activated, will bring them back to the present. A tiny energy pulse appears on the current day when a marker illuminates with the amount of time left. The company arrives directly in the path of peril. First, a raging river. Secondly, English cavalry in pursuit. Lady Claire, a French fugitive, warns them. The 2 Marines perish in battle. One, who is already dead, presses his marker home, but the time machine is harmed by the illegal explosive he was carrying. Arnaud and Claire briefly reconnect, but English forces transport the others to Lord Oliver de Van. He kills Francois and tosses them in an attic where the professor is already being detained, insisting their interpreter translate the phrase, "I am a spy," into French. Everyone regrets the need to kill after Kate, the finest climber and lightest person, sneaks off the roof and enables the others to fight their way free. After repeatedly traveling through time, William Decker, a previous employee of ITC, exposes his identity to Sir William de Keir. The fact that the machine harmed DNA and interior organs was concealed by Doniger. Frank Gordon, the final chief Marine, is killed by Decker after he steals their markers. They only need to stay alive and assemble in an area that is 30 square feet in size and clear of obstructions for 1 marker to bring them all back. Andre saves Claire once more, preventing history, and they fall in love, much like Chris and Kate. The conflict turns in favor of the French, as it did in the original history, thanks to Kate's leadership of Chris and Arnaud's forces as they travel through the monastery's underground passage at La Roque Castle. Arnaud kills Lord Oliver when he captures Claire, and de Keir attacks Andre and amputates his ear. He gains the ability to slay de Keir and dispatch the others to a free field so he can return home after realizing he is the knight buried in the sarcophagus. Despite Doniger's determination to ignore the lives lost for greater scientific good, Josh and Kramer fix the machine today. While the others are returning, Doniger runs into the transmit region but is killed by a charging knight in France since he is missing a marker. The 3 archaeologists afterwards read the coffin inscription from Andre and Claire, which described their 3 children, Christophe, Catherine, and Francois, as well as their rich and happy life together back at Castleguard.